Welcome back, everyone. This is going to be leg 2 of my 2025 Iron Boat Rally Ride Report. Stay tuned to see how it goes. In leg 2, the themes were based off of other LD riding organizations. A couple of them being the Hoka Hey, Team Strange. So it was kind of a honor to the other organizations that exist in this community. At this meeting, we also found out who the top 10 riders were. Paul called us up each individually to stand. I was in the top 10 at that point. Was not expecting it at all. I was very surprised to hear my name called that morning. Grab some breakfast, head up back to the hotel room, start planning. I kind of plan my routes based off of weather. If it's going to be like super hot or super rainy, like I try to avoid that. This loop, for this leg, there wasn't much of an option. You kind of got to choose, did you want to be wet or did you want to be hot? I'd rather be hot than wet for 3 days. So started looking at southern loops. A couple of them caught my eye. I ended up going with the Legacy Rally L loop. This loop had 5 bonuses you had to collect. First one being in Minneapolis. There were 2 in Louisville, the Louisville Bats. One was the Coffee Cup House, and then the last one was Hot Coffee Junction. So it didn't take me long to figure out what loop I was doing. On this leg, as soon as you get your loop plan, you're free to leave. Or basically, as soon as the rider meeting is over, you're free to leave. Heard a couple bikes leave before me, but I was out of the hotel at a pretty decent time. First bonus I had to get was up in Minneapolis. On the way out, it started to rain pretty hard. Rode for about an hour or two up towards Minneapolis. Decided I needed to stop. Decided I wanted to stop and get some gas, maybe grab a breakfast sandwich, just get out of the rain for a little bit. Just try to let it pass. About 5 minutes in, a couple other rally riders pull in. They come over, we talk for a couple of minutes. They congratulate me on being in the top 10. Run inside, grab me a little breakfast sandwich, set a timer for 10 minutes. I told myself I had 10 minutes to eat my breakfast and get out of the gas station, rain or shine. Eat my breakfast sandwich. Dave Kendall pulls up to the gas pump right next to me. Him and I start talking for a few minutes. We all realize we're doing the same loop, and then him and I exchange phone numbers. It was really cool to be able to reach out to Dave for the rest of the rally. Him and I talked about 2 times a day. He'd call me in the morning, I'd call him at night, and we continued that pattern for the rest of the rally. It was a great help. Thank you so much, Dave. So him and I exchange numbers. We all pull out of the gas station about the same time, get rolling down the road. I follow him for probably an hour, get up to Minneapolis, and collect my first bonus, which was Bob's Java Hut. This bonus was kind of difficult to find. It was a little coffee house in the middle of Minneapolis. It was packed. They already knew riders were coming in. It was cool not to be the first person there, but to walk in and go, "Oh, you're doing the scavenger hunt too." So I grabbed my coffee cup, get my picture, get it submitted. Heading out of Minneapolis. Next stop is Louisville. This is all roads I've ridden before, going down into Indiana. Very simple, very straightforward roads. Start getting closer to Indiana, I'm needing to take my meal bonus for the day. Call up my friend Courtney. Her and I have been talking every day through this rally, and she insisted on meeting me for dinner. Would not take no for an answer. So she found a restaurant on my route that her and Spencer could get to, and we met and we had dinner. They knew what my expectations were of a meal break, in and out in 45 minutes. They showed up, knew what they wanted to eat for dinner. We had a great dinner, had great conversations. They were super interested in the rally. I showed them my photos. It really boosted my morale to see some friends. Get my meal bonus done. Next stop is Louisville. 3 bonuses in Louisville, 2 of which were mandatory. The 2 mandatory bonuses were the Louisville Bats. There's a story on that. Mike Kneebone would be able to tell it better than I would. But it was a callback to a previous Iron Butt rally. So we had to take a picture of the giant Louisville Slugger bat. And we also had to take a picture of a mural of a bat creature. Getting the Louisville Bats, I ran into Dave. He was a couple minutes ahead of me. He was getting his picture finished up as I was pulling in. It was good to see him. It's good to see other rally riders out there, kind of boost your morale, let you know you're on the right track. Get the 2 mandatory bonuses, grab 1 extra. Paul likes to stack these bonuses where if you're looking at your map, you can see the dots, but if you zoom in, sometimes there's bonuses stacked on top of each other. So with this one, there was a bonus that was less than a quarter mile away, and you wouldn't have seen it unless you zoomed in on the map. So it was an easy couple of points. So after collecting the Abraham Lincoln bonus, my next bonus was the Coffee Cup House. This involved me riding through the night again. I forgot how remote the South is. 2 o'clock in the morning, I roll into this little town in North Carolina. Gotta go to the bathroom, wanted to grab a water or something out of the gas station. I forgot that you can still smoke in gas stations in the South. And gamble. So 2 o'clock in the morning, this gas station's got way more people in it than it should. Smoking, gambling, conversing. Kind of off-putting. I walk back out into the parking lot. Some more locals roll in, one of which insisted on talking to me. Could not understand what he was saying. Could have been due to the southern accent. Could have been due to sleep deprivation. He talked at me for about 3 minutes and then proceeds to walk into the gas station. At that point, I'm already ready to get out of this town. I look over my shoulder, and there is another gentleman who's been standing there for all of the 3 minutes I've been talking to this other person, who then proceeds to, in the most southern way possible, very kindly tell me that I am not welcome in this town, that there's a lot of weirdos, that this is not a safe spot to be stopping, and that if I was thinking about sleeping in this town, I should probably think again. At this point, I'm definitely getting out of this town. And I'm getting the nods. I need to stop. I need to sleep for at least 10-20 minutes. Find me a little church, sleep on their park bench for 20 minutes, wake up feeling a lot better. Roll through the rest of the night. I think I stopped one more time at another church, slept for another 10 minutes. But between those 2 little cat naps, that got me through the night. The next bonus, like I said, I'm going after was the Teacup House. It was in the middle of nowhere. I don't know how anyone found this to begin with. It was beautiful. It was in the middle of nowhere. Get me a nice picture in front of the archway. Start rolling back out of the holler. Starting to warm up pretty good. The humidity's worse than anything else. I know I've still got a rest bonus I need to take, and at this point I'm planning on taking it somewhere east of Atlanta. Thought process being, get me out of the heat in the middle of the day, get 4 or 5 hours of sleep, stack my meal bonus on the other end of it, and that lets me shut down for about 6 hours and avoids the worst of the heat in the south. So that's what I end up doing, somewhere east of Atlanta, get a hotel, start my rest bonus. So this is one of my fuck-ups. Rest bonuses, we need to submit a picture of our bike and our flag. I was not thinking straight at the time, and submitted the wrong photo. I ended up submitting the photo for my audio bonus that day. Wake up from my rest bonus, and I head over to start my meal bonus. At this point, I get a call from Paul Tonk, which is never a good number to see calling you. He informed me that I had submitted the wrong photo. Him and I went back and forth for a couple of minutes. And ultimately, the penalty that I incurred for that mistake was having to take an extra 30 minutes on my meal bonus. So instead of 45 minutes, I had to take an hour and 15 minutes. Definitely hurt a little bit, but sitting in AC for an extra half hour at 4 o'clock in the afternoon in the South wasn't that bad of a penalty. Took this meal bonus. At this point, I got the rest of my route planned. Realized I had some extra time built in, so I started adding in filler bonuses that weren't part of the loop. Finish up my meal bonus. My next stop, there's a couple of bonuses in Atlanta I want to grab. Just extra bonuses. Roll in there about sunset. Get these 2 bonuses, and then roll on out of Atlanta. It wasn't too bad. It was still very hot, even at that hour in the night. But I got in, got those bonuses, and got out. So from there, I had one more bonus I was picking up on my way towards Hot Coffee Junction. It was just a giant chair in the middle of a town in Alabama. Ran into another rider while I was getting that bonus, and then heading towards Hot Coffee Junction. And this is the final bonus in my loop. Get to Hot Coffee Junction, get my photo, get my loop bonus submitted. So after Hot Coffee Junction, I start picking up my extra bonuses. So this was a string of bonuses honoring Robert Johnson. He was a blues player who supposedly sold his soul to the devil. But it was a string of bonuses, one being his hometown, 3 of the bonuses being supposed grave sites, and then the 4th being the crossroads. So I swing in, I grab the first bonus of his hometown. Very quiet in the middle of the night, there was no one out. Grab that bonus, and now I'm hopping gravesite to gravesite in the middle of the night in Mississippi. It was a little creepy. Stop and grab the first gravesite. These were all a little bit difficult to find. You're looking for a headstone in a cemetery. Thanks to Paul's app, it's got a GPS coordinate that's fairly accurate. Grab the first one, no issue. Second one, no issue. Third one, I'm starting to get tired. I did try to sleep in the church parking lot, but it was a little too creepy for me. This third site being the supposed actual grave site, and then from there, the sun starts coming up, and I'm heading towards the crossroads. Get that photo, again, no issues. These are all very straightforward, easy to get. So the sun starts coming up, I get the crossroads bonus. From here, I've got 2 more bonuses I'm collecting on my way back into the checkpoint. The next bonus I'm collecting after the crossroads was a bonus for Patsy Cline. Supposedly this is where their plane crashed. It was a cool bonus to get to. It was kind of down in a ravine you had to hike down into. I ran down the hill and then jogged back up it. It was very hot. So what I do for heat is I put bags of ice down the front of my suit. On this day, I put 45 pounds of ice in my suit. From 7 o'clock in the morning until 7 o'clock at night, I had a bag of ice sitting up against my body. This helps a lot with keeping your blood temperature down. So from there, it was a slog all the way back up to Coralsville. It was hot, it was humid. Every 2 hours, I'm stopping, I'm pulling a bag of ice out of my suit, I'm putting a bag of ice in my suit. I would sit there, I'd ride, I would eat ice, and just try to tick down the miles. I get back into Coralsville, I got 1 bonus left to collect. I get that bonus collected, I stop, I fill up my gas tank. At this point, I'm starting to push it pretty close to penalty points. 7:45 is when points start occurring. 8 o'clock is when you DNF. I rolled into the parking lot at 7:20. So I only had about 25 minutes to spare on this leg. I think I did pretty good about using all of my time. Get in, my dad's there waiting for me on this checkpoint. We're planning on doing an oil change, some light maintenance, and get the bike ready for leg 3. Didn't have an oil pan. Dave Kendall was kind enough to loan me his. Got the oil changed, no issues there, done it 1,000 times. At this point in the rally, I'm recognizing the pattern. They're loops. They're all predetermined loops. Go out, ride a loop, come back. At this point, I'm thinking leg 3 is going to be the same. I tell my dad kind of my theory, so I grab a quick little dinner from the banquet hall. I take it back out. I eat my dinner next to the bike while I get it packed. I get all of my food, all of my supplies. Everything is loaded and ready, to the point where I even left my helmet and my riding gear on the bike. Because I knew when we got to pack it in the morning, it was going to be very obvious what loop I was going to choose. But I think that's a good point to leave off for this leg 2 report. Leg 3, where it starts to get interesting. Leg 3 is the big leg. I hope this was interesting and informative. Thank you guys so much for watching.